Hello everyone and welcome to another chess lesson. In this lesson we're going to be going over basic endgame checkmates. So these are checkmates that happen usually at the end of the game when both sides don't have many pieces. If you have pieces and your opponent doesn't, there's a really good chance that you'll be able to checkmate your opponent with your pieces. So let's dive right in. The most basic one is queen and rook checkmate. This also works if you have two queens, like if one of your pawns promoted, this rook could also be a queen, and it's the same process. How this works is one piece controls this rank like this, and the black king will never be able to go to any of these squares because this piece covers all of them. So what you want to do is use your other piece and go higher than the one you have right now. And so you can see this covers this ring and the queen covers this ring. So the black king has to go back. And so you just repeat the process. You just move one of them and then you move the other one. And then you move the first one and the other one. And when you get to the edge, this is checkmate because the rook covers all the squares on the back row and the queen covers the escape squares. So the king has nowhere to move and this is checkmate. So that's how to do it with queen and rook or two queens. If you have two rooks like this, it's slightly harder because they can protect each other diagonally, so the king can attack them. So in this position, you give check like this because this rook covers this ring, and now this rook can cover this ring. But if the king goes here, you don't want to go here because the king can take your rook. So instead of that, you want to move your rook all the way down so the king can't reach it. If the king tries to stop your other rook, move this one down. You don't want to move it here because then look, they get stuck on each other and you won't be able to move each one individually. You want to stop it right before the edge. And even if black tries to get close, you can still push the king back. And if the king's attacking your rook, just move it all the way down, and black can't stop checkmate. You can see rook covers escape squares and this rook gives check. So that's the two rook checkmate. It's also the queen checkmate. These are all the major piece checkmates. Uh, King and queen is a bit trickier, but it's a good pattern to know. You want to keep a knight's distance away from the king. So let's say the king was over here. You want to go right here. So if the queen was a knight, then you would be able to give check to the king in this L shape, like that. See that? And you want to keep that L shape. No matter where the black king goes, you want to copy what the black king does. So if the king goes here, you want to do the same thing. If the king goes here, even though this is a knight's opposition, you want to copy what your opponent does. So you do the same thing. And you just keep going until the king goes to the edge. And then once you get to the edge, you stop. You don't need to bring your queen anymore. Because black's king will only be stuck on these squares. You can start bringing your king in. Because the queen can't give checkmate by herself. So you need the king to help. And after this, wherever black goes, you just move your queen for the final checkmate. So that's how to do it with the king and the queen. You give checkmate with just the queen. You can also give checkmate with just the rook. And this is a little bit trickier. It's harder to get. There's two different ways you can do it. I'll show you both. One of them might be simpler to you. Just use whatever you feel best. So what you want to do is you want to use the rook to keep the king cut off in this first method. All you do is you keep the king cut off, and you you can see here that any of these three squares is covered by your king. So these three squares. So you when the kings are lined up like this, right across from each other, you can give check with the rook. because black can't move it to these squares or these squares, because the rook covers these and your king covers these. So the black king has to go back. What you want to do here is do the same thing. You want to keep a knight's distance. If black moves back, you can see how the kings are lined up, and you give check. You just force the king back again. So what you want to do here is, if black runs, you do the same thing, and you do the same thing, and then black has to come back, and you can give check. And if black tries to just run like this, you cut the king off, and wherever the king goes, you keep knight's distance. Even let's say black tries to get your rook. If you do this, oops. If you if you move here, black can take your rook, right? So instead of that, you just move your rook down. If black keeps going, you follow, and once you reach that knight's opposition, you just play a waiting move. So this forces black to do something else, and black has to move. You want to move into the opposition. So you want the knight's distance to happen right after your move, because then it forces black to move back, and you can give check. And if black tries to stop mate again by attacking your rook, you just move it, not all the way to the edge, although you can if you want. And when you get the knight's distance away, you just move your rook, waiting move, and at the final moment, you give the checkmate all the way at the edge of the board. So that's one way you can do it, is just follow knight's opposition. Another way, after this, you want to just get your king straight opposition already. And wherever black goes, you want to make a box around the king like this, and the king has to move, and you make the box smaller. If the king goes like here, for example, you can't make the box smaller, because then black can take your rook. So instead of that, you move your king. And if black tries to do this, you're still in the box. You don't want to do this, because then black can leave. So you can go here, just play a waiting move. And when black moves, you make the box smaller. See, like this. Black moves, you make the box smaller. You just want to make the box, oops, you want to make the box smaller. You can see a box like this, and the king will never be able to escape that box. After this, you just want to make the box smaller. And then you can just move forward with your king and give check. So it's kind of a harder pattern to like learn, but once you do learn it, once you memorize the pattern, it's going to be a lot easier. It just takes a lot of practice, and you at beginner levels, a lot of people reach these positions a lot because you have like one extra piece you took at the beginning or something like that, and you can use the extra piece to maybe even give a checkmate when your opponent doesn't. So even when you have like very few pieces left, the might still be over, because you'll be able to checkmate your opponent. So in the next video, we'll be covering minor piece checkmates, the two bishops checkmate and the bishop and knight checkmate. I'll see you there.